In this Map Suite MVC Edition sample app walkthrough, we're going to introduce you to a few concepts that deal with labeling and specifically with some roads. As you can see here, we've got just a basic map with a few streets rendered here, and you can see several labels showing the street name for many of these streets. And if I zoom in, you'll see more labels show up, and as I pan around, they'll also move around and adjust accordingly. So let's take a look at the code and dig right in so you can see how to implement labeling in your application. Alright, so here's the view source code, and this sample only contains view source code because really we're just setting everything up when the application is loaded and telling the map control how we want to load the data and also label it. So here we've got our standard code where we're just adding the map to the page and setting where we're going to zoom in and telling it the map unit we're going to want. And then as you can see down here, we're actually dealing with two overlays. We've got a static overlay and a dynamic overlay. Now this comes in handy a lot of times when you're doing labeling to put all of your geometry features that you're going to render in one overlay, and then to put your labeling on top of all of that in another overlay. In this case, we're just using static and dynamic, but you can also just create your own layer overlays and add them to the custom overlay collection if you want to go do it that way as well. And so let's take a look here first in the static overlay, and we're just creating a shapefile feature layer and pointing to our shapefile that has some streets in Austin, Texas. And then we're telling it we want to render those streets using our local road 1 line style. So if you're not familiar with line styles, there's several pre-built styles off of that to do some of your rendering for you. But of course, if you want to create your own styles, you're free to do that using the Map Suite API as well. And then we add that, or we apply that style for all zoom levels, add that layer to the overlay, and then in this case we're going to do multiple tile mode. So that means the little tiles will come in as the web page loads. Now the next thing is we want to label these roads. So in this case we're going to create another overlay, and again we're going to load our same shapefile that has the Austin streets, but this time instead of doing a line style we're going to do a default text style. And the text style is where all your labeling is done. So anytime you want to label a layer, you would either set the default text style or add a text style to the custom styles collection. So those are the two ways you can do labeling. In this case, again, we're using one of our pre-built text styles. So we're just using that. And then in here we're passing in the column name in the shapefile that we want to use to pull the text out of to build the label. There's lots of option on text styles besides our pre-built ones, and you really have as much flexibility as you need. You can even create your own custom text styles too for very specific labeling needs. And there's other samples on our website and throughout that shows you how to do some of that if you're interested. And then down here we're applying the labels to show up for all zoom levels. So if you only wanted to show up at the lower ones, you can adjust this accordingly. And down here is a property you may not be familiar with, drawing margin percentage. And in this sample it's really not doing a lot because this overlay is in single tile mode. And I usually recommend doing your labels in single tile mode because otherwise with multi-tile you'll get a lot of, you have, especially if you have a lot of long street names, you can get them cut off. And that's what this drawing margin percentage is there for. In case you are doing multiple tile, you can bump this up to like 200 or 300%. So the labels will go past the tile boundary accordingly and give you and not have that cutoff effect. But be aware, the higher you set this, you're going to start to see performance impacts because the labeling algorithms need to look at a lot more candidates and things of that nature. So that's just to show you that property does exist if you didn't want to use single tile for your labeling overlay. But in this case we are using single tile, so it's really not doing a lot. And then we just add that to the that label layer to the overlay and then render the map. So pretty simple code here to get a basic map up with some labels. But you know, the concepts you really need to focus on is how you want to stack your layers and how you want to do your labeling. Again, it's typically good practice, although every application is a little bit different, to render all your layers your geometries out in one overlay, and then add all your labeling to a second overlay in single tile mode. And that most of the time will give you the best effects with no cutoff artifacts, and also you have a lot more control over the order of your labels and how you want to handle your conflicts between layers and things of that nature. So I hope this sample app walkthrough has been helpful. Please feel free to contact us if you have any questions, or you can post them directly on our discussion forums at thinkgeo.com/forums. Thank you for watching.